gather to honor and celebrate the life of Sharon Ann Allen. Sherry. If you're not familiar with the tune Sherry's husband Michael just played, it is George Gershwin's "Someone to Watch Over Me." Sherry had some of the lyrics inscribed on the inside of the wedding band she gave to Michael over 2 decades ago. Next year was to be their 25th anniversary. They had planned a special trip to mark the occasion. Recognizing this would no longer happen, it was Sherry's wish that Mike play this song today to welcome you all into this space as it reminded her of their relationship. Thank you to all the guests gathered here today in person. Some of you traveled from very far away with very little notice. You did whatever you had to do to be here. And I also acknowledge the loved ones who are watching the recording of this service. Thank you for being here. All of you are deeply impacted by this incredible woman. And we thank you to the staff of Salem Funeral Home for all they did to prepare this room. And for those who gathered the flowers, they are exquisite. You know Sherry, you know she loved her garden and spent a lot of time surrounded by plants, wildlife. And if you notice on your way out, this green flower that's very tall and narrow, Bells of Ireland. And you'll know that Sherry and Michael married in Ireland, and Irish heritage was very important to them. If you look around the room, you'll see that many people are wearing bright colors and flowers. This is because Sherry insisted that her funeral be filled with color and light and not shrouded in the traditional black. She wanted you to celebrate her life and find joy in the midst of sorrow. Mere weeks ago, Sherry learned of the terminal nature of her cancer diagnosis, and she knew then and there with conviction she did not want to embark upon continuous treatments that would only worsen her physical suffering. She chose to stay focused on the present and shared hopes with her husband Mike about how she wanted this service to be conducted. It's not every day people get to inform how they are remembered. She wanted people to feel welcome, safe, and included, regardless of their belief system of what happens after death. And for this reason, she requested a humanist celebrant. So here I am. She wanted you to know that her body will return to the earth from whence it came, but her memories will continue to strengthen. And Sherry's daughter, Casey, selected a beautiful poem that you'll find in your program. And this is a poem by Maya Angelou. Some poetry that really speaks to how we must attend to emotions as they arise. And it invites us to truly experience this time of mourning, no matter how busy the season of life we find ourselves in. This time is for you to remember, to mourn, to share stories. When Great Trees Fall, by Maya Angelou. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence. Their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality bound bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nature, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark old age. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whispered to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed. And now with those words permeating our being, we can be, for they existed. We shall embark upon a life review of Sherry, a life well lived, though far too fleeting. And this helps us to think about the entire whole person that Sherry was and will continue to be in the midst. And so as I'm kind of going through chronologically, I'll be sharing words from family and friends who cannot be here personally, but they wanted me to read on their behalf. There will be a time where her children come up here, and then ultimately we'll open the space for any of you gathered who wish to stand up where you are and share a memory, or come down up here if you're comfortable with that. Prior to Sherry's birth in 1956, her family found themselves in Indiana, recent transplants from Ohio. They returned to Ohio soon after, though, and this is where Sherry's parents bought the home that went on to serve as the heart of the McFarland family for the next 60 years. It's very rare. Sherry's dad worked in trucking, and her mom stayed busy caring for 5 children, all while running the local Girl Scout group that Sherry and her sister Susan belonged to. Her father, Vincent, died in 2003, receiving military honors for his service in the Marine Corps. And her mother, Mary Jane, passed away in 2012 at the Cardinal Nursing Home in Ohio. Her parents' value of prioritizing family time arguably inspired Sherry to become the mother and grandmother she was, creating a home that was the center, the anchor for such a large family. Now let's travel back in time to high school. Sherry made a very special friend named Denise, who she spent a lot of her time with. She then attended Rio Grande University and graduated in 1977 with a bachelor's in phys ed. And if you know Sherry, you know she was an incredible athlete and especially excelled at running. After college, Denise and Sherry lost touch. However, almost 40 years later, they found one another on Facebook. And Denise couldn't be here today, but she wanted me to share this reflection. This comes from Denise. Sherry and I were friends in high school. We rode the same bus and fast became good buddies doing the usual high school stuff, going to concerts, shopping, watching movies, spending time at each other's houses. After graduation, Sherry started college the next September. I waited for one semester to start. We went to different colleges, hers in Southern Ohio, mine in Indiana, and we chose different careers, so with time and distance, we drifted apart. But Facebook, we found each other again, and we picked up exactly where we had left off. Our friendship blossomed and grew, and we became as close as 2 friends could be. Sherry became, without a doubt, a huge part of my life. We spent hours talking and sharing everything from our families, our thoughts, our ideas, our sorrows, our joys, our physical ailments, laughing, crying, spending time together whenever we could. I trusted Sherry as much as I ever trusted anyone, for she understood me completely. We had our differences at times, We even argued a few times, in which, wanting to show how irritated I was, I would call her Sharon Ann, and she'd answer back, "Well, Denise, I don't even remember your middle name," which made us both burst into laughter. Sherry and I would often, not just sometimes, often get extremely lost while traveling. Even with maps and satellite nav systems, we'd call Michael, who was our chief navigator, even 3,000 miles away. Someone said to me once that they would love to have a friendship like ours. I realized how fortunate we were to share the type of friendship we had. I am so very thankful that Sherry was such an integral part of my life. And I bet those words resonate with a lot of you, everyone here today. And so now, Michael is going to play Coming Home by Mark Knopf. After college, Sherry met David Thomas, a finance officer at Rio Grande College, and they were married in 1978. They had 3 children who are all here today. John David, born January 79, Casey Lynn, born October 82, and Callie Ann, born February 1987. They lived in Salem, Virginia, and Eureka, Illinois, before settling in Buchanan in 1984. Sherry was the Wesleyan College women's volleyball coach, achieving national honors for the college in that sport. As I mentioned before, she truly excelled at running and even completed the Chicago Marathon in 1982. I've done a half, and I just don't know how anyone gets to mile 14. She then then moved to North Carolina after that marriage ended, and she taught physical education and health at Paisley Middle School and St. Leo's Elementary School in Winston-Salem. Their family grew, and Sherry was a very dedicated, loving mother. Her children became adults and started families of their own. She was extremely involved in their lives, connecting with them weekly, enjoying quality time with them, doing all sorts of activities like biking, gardening, cooking, weaving, sharing meals, engaging in heartfelt conversation. And now Sherry's children would like to share some reflections about who their mother is and what she means to them, including any special memories. So come on up.
Thank y'all for coming and being here with us to honor our mom. I'm going to open with a quote by Mitch Albom. When you look into your mother's eyes, you know that is the purest love you can find on this earth. And I know I'll never be true with our mom. Mom had the heart of an adventurer. She was vibrant, smart, passionate, feisty, witty, compassionate, dependable, trustworthy, and so much more. She was an artisan and was so incredibly talented. And I know that there are a few of us in the room that have some of her beautiful pieces. And I know we're also thankful for that. She had the most amazing smile. And she loved to laugh. I loved to make her laugh, and I was really good at it. I know I am biased because she is my mom, but she was truly the best. There was nothing she wouldn't do for those she loved. Whether it was helping with an event, or mending your clothes, or surprising you on your birthday, or helping you tile a whole kitchen until 3 a.m., or tearing down wallpaper. If you needed her, she was there. She was always there. Not because she had to be, but because she wanted to be. She wouldn't show up for her people. She was so much fun. She was my place of comfort, my secret keeper, my source of encouragement, and my very best friend. She was one of the only people I could go to with anything and know she would not judge me or make me feel badly for what was going on. She loved us with her whole heart, unconditionally. She was the embodiment of pure love, and I feel so incredibly lucky that I get to call her my mom and that she loved me. There are no words to fully express how much I will miss her or how much I love her. The last few weeks have been the heaviest of my life, navigating this new world without my mom, trying to answer questions I have no answer to, and sitting with the heaviness of this loss. I found a poem I would like to share. It is called Love Came First by Donna Ashler. You don't move on after loss, but you must move with. You must shake hands with grief, welcome her in, for she lives with you now. Pull her a chair at the table and offer her comfort. She is not the monster you first thought her to be. She is love. And she will walk with you now, stay with you now, peacefully, if you let her. And on the days when your anger is high, remember why she came. Remember who she represents. Remember, grief came to you, my friend, because love came first. Love came first. Thank you. with my own children, so that through me they still have a piece of their Nana. I'd like to share a poem as well by Helen Steiner Rice that's true to the spirit of my mom. It's called A Mother's Love. A mother's love is something no one can explain. It is made of deep devotion and of sacrifice and pain. It is endless and unselfish and enduring come what may. For nothing can destroy it or take that love away. It is patient and forgiving when all others are forsaking. And it never fails or falters. And although she's gone, she's not really gone. I still feel her love. I love you, Mom.
For your bravery for sharing, because it's not easy to do that in front of those people. And Michael, you have put so much work into helping me to get to know Sherry, even though I didn't actually know her in life. And so Michael thought it would be important to share a little anecdote about how he and Sherry met and how they got married. And so let's travel back in time to 1993, when Callie served as the matchmaker. It all started when a very precocious 6-year-old came home and told her mom she'd just met a very nice man at a neighbor's house who had a cool computer. Sherry, concerned that her child was meeting strange men in a neighbor's home, immediately went over to investigate. Lo and behold, the seed for a lifelong relationship was planted. As it turned out, this cool, nice computer man named Michael was an engineer originally from the UK who had recently taken a job in North Carolina. After Michael met Sherry, there was no choice but to remain in North Carolina to see how their relationship could blossom. Throughout the coming years, the blended family, traveled frequently to Europe. And in 2000, Callie and Sherry moved to England with Michael temporarily to assist with family business. Callie started English grammar school there, but it was always Sherry's wish that she return to finish her high school education in the U.S. So in 2002, they returned stateside with Michael and 2 of his children, Richard and Ruth. Michael and Sherry were married on the 16th of April, 2001, on the island of Inishmore off the Irish coast. 25 members of both families made this trip to Ireland. It was an unforgettable day. And recently, Michael found a page of Sherry's diary in which she described this fairy tale wedding. It was in a box of photographs, if I'm correct. So this is a little excerpt from Sherry's diary. Although the date reads 28 April, this diary really begins on 16 April 2001, the date Michael and I were married. The island of Inishmore in the Aran Isles, in a little church, the Immaculate Conception in Oakland. It was a beautiful day, sunny with a bit of cloud coverage and a little chill in the air. At about 1 p.m., everyone else left for the church and just me and my 3 children and the photographer were left. I was getting a little nervous, not because I was about to get married, but because the photographer was having trouble with his camera and I knew I would be late. Father Riley was very insistent on getting started on time at 1:30. We got into the pony and trap and set off for the church. This is the part from when I want to get all the details right, because this is where my fairy tale-like wedding begins. I remember walking down the sidewalk with JD's arm around me to steady me, and I went breathless. I'd been anticipating this day for so long, it felt surreal. The day had finally come, and there had been so much planning and preparation and thought and emotion put into it. And it was so perfect in reality as it was in my fantasy. Everything went as planned well, except that I forgot my stockings and underwear. But no one was going to know that. Oh, and there was the bit about the fairy that forgot us, and we sweated that for a couple of hours, but he finally showed up. And I guess finally there was the bit about the fairy that it was small enough to float in your bathtub with 25 people crammed onto it, going at breakneck speed across a choppy sea, many people throwing up, others wishing they had other plans. But in the end, we made it. A little worse for the wear and a little green, but hey, we were in Ireland, so I guess green was appropriate. Anyway, it has given everyone something to remember. To continue on the pony ride, it was like a fairy tale. People in the village knew about the wedding, so I had many well-wishers along the route. The kids were having a great time. The girls and I had a constant smile on, partly because I was excited and partly because we were freezing. I remember I kept asking for the time. We made so many stops for photos, and I was concerned about being late. I didn't want Father Riley walking out through the church gate, the point at which even if he sees me coming, he doesn't go back into the church. But more constant in my mind than the time was the thought that I was about to be married to the most wonderful man in the world. Those are really her words. And so then the family moved to Boonville. You've maybe heard this story. They kind of moved there by accident. They had seen a beautiful house in the newspaper and thought it was on Main Street in Winston-Salem. But it was in fact in Boonville, a whole 30 miles away. Several months later, they decided to visit the home just to give it a chance. And Sherry decided it was exactly what she wanted. This house from the paper soon became a home. And as I mentioned earlier, the anchor, the hub of her and her family's life for the next 20 years or so. Michael often played piano in the room below Sherry's weaving room, and her favorite composer was Chopin. And so now Michael is going to play a beautiful brief piece that you'll probably recognize, Chopin's Nocturne number 20. If you're familiar with classical music, nocturne signifies a short musical composition of dreamy nature, suggestive of nightfall, like a lullaby. And it couldn't be more appropriate at a time such as this, considering it was one of Sherry's favorite pieces and demarcates a time of day's end. So as the sun sets on Sherry's physical life, may this nocturne bring you peace, my friend. Michael and the children continued to visit the UK, and they visited Michael's son Richard, and Sherry was very involved with outward bound trips of Michael's family, and she took many trips with her children, and over the past 12 years, she came to have 11 grandchildren. JD married Adele, and they shared 6 children. Casey married Stephen, and they have 2 boys. Callie and Kevin now have 3 sons. As a loving Nana, Sherry spent ample time with her grandkids, remembering every single birthday and making all holidays very special. She filled her calendar with family time, both here and across the Atlantic, and she shared friendships with her 2 sisters-in-law. They really wanted to be here today, but they could not, so I will now read offerings from her sisters-in-law, Mary and Jane. From Mary. These are just some thoughts of Sherry that don't even begin to do her justice. Her kindness and her willingness to do anything for anything. Her activism against all the inequalities on this planet. Her love of playing board games and usually winning. She was always happy to learn a new game and never tired of playing. Her friendliness and inclusivity of everyone in her circle of friends. She will be sorely missed by all who knew and loved her. Good night, dear sister-in-law. And from Jane. Sherry, I feel so sad, shocked, and sorry that you were taken so quickly. All I can say, and it's from my heart, is that I loved and admired you so much. You were beautiful, intelligent, and artistic. You had a great sense of humor and loved your family deeply. The joy you got from your children and grandchildren was always a topic of conversation, and the lovely smile that lit up your face when speaking of them said it all. You stood up for what you believed in. You really were so generous and giving. I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you not being here, Sherry. You were not just my sister-in-law, but my friend. I will never forget you. And Sadie, Sherry's niece, who's here today, asked me to share this. When I lay in bed or sit in silence, it comes to me like a waterfall, pouring over me with all her love. It's so important to me that the world knows how much she impacted me and everyone around her that she ever met. I feel so lucky that I was able to spend so much time with her and know her the way I did. I will keep her legacy strong and share her story with everyone. Never stop getting to know her better and grow closer to her, even though the distance is now so profound. Because she was so loyal and supportive and never judgmental. She will always be beside me in everything I do. And so now we open the space for anyone who feels compelled to share a word, share a memory. You can come on up to the podium, or you can just stand where you are if that feels more comfortable. So I'll just pause for a few moments and see what bubbles up.
Well, I'm not a public speaker, but I will tell you I had the pleasure of meeting Sharon through Casey. It was at her baby shower. I'll never forget it. Because I didn't really know anybody at her baby shower. So I got to be in the corner, and I had the pleasure of watching everyone. And I watched her be so intent on making sure that was the perfect baby shower for Casey's firstborn. And she was a busy little baby, and she's tiny, but I think it'd be hard to keep up with her. And then as I watched her, I saw all the grandkids come over to her, and she just lit up the room when the grandkids were around her. And you could see the love that she had for all her grandchildren. And then when Hetty was born, I remember going over and visiting Casey and Stephen, and Sherry just got back from a walk, and just seeing Sherry hold Hetty the first time and see the love that she had for him, it was just such an inspiration. And then when you're sitting in the Casey's chair, she's like your therapist, but we talk about family, and I could hear about all these trips that they take every year. And they would carve out this time. I mean, when you've got such a big family and you carve out that time to spend time with each other, it was such an inspiration. And I thought, wow, I hope I can be a Nana like that. Or I hope I can be a mom like that. So, Callie, what you said, you hope that you can be just as a good mom you are. So you keep that in mind, and to see the love that you already have, that's something very precious. So, that's my experience. I only had a couple experiences, but she just had a way to light up a room. So I know going forward how I'm gonna remember her, but she's gonna be an inspiration.
I'm sure a lot of you have on your heart and mind something that you feel compelled to say that can be a little uncomfortable and awkward to be that vulnerable in front of this many people. So I encourage you when the service ends to come share with Sherry's husband and children and share those stories, because that's how we keep people alive eternally. And so though our formal service will be ending soon, the room will be available for you to spend as much time as you need to process. And we're going to have our staff come and remove the casket as Michael plays Love of My Life by Freddie Mercury. the space is here, it's open for you to mingle, some light refreshments will be over there. And the family encourages you to take some flowers out of the arrangements, bring them home with you, and you can choose to press them and have them last a really long time, or simply display them fresh in your home. There's some paper in the back of the room if you'd like to rack them up. Following the service, family and friends are welcome to gather at Sherry's youngest daughter, Callie's house, right here in Winston-Salem. It's at 1712 Sanderstead Road. And if you need one of us to remind you of that address after this, we can. Take care of yourselves. Grieving is non-linear. You'll experience ups and downs, joyous moments, tragically sad moments. And let these moments come and go. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. And let the memory of Sherry and the incredible life she lived as a beloved wife, mother, nana, friend, teacher, coach, gardener, weaver, and so much more continue to strengthen you in times of deep despair. And may her memory lift your spirits when you find yourself feeling downtrodden or lonely. She is with you. Now, our service here is over. Get up slowly. We thank you so much for coming and making the trip. And family and friends will be here as long as